The first thing I saw when I stepped onto my porch was fire. Bright, violent, and roaring against the dark. My home, the place I'd built with years of sweat and sacrifice, was burning to the ground. Sirens wailed in the distance, but all I could hear was the crackle of destruction and the pounding in my chest. Through the chaos, my eyes locked onto a figure standing at the end of the street, arms folded, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. Karen Whitmore, our HOA president. She had made my life miserable for months. It started when I refused to repaint my home to match her approved color scheme. I argued the bylaws didn't require it, and as a county judge, I knew the law better than anyone in this neighborhood. That didn't sit well with Karen. She issued fines, sent letters, even tried to rally the HOA board against me. I ignored her antics, until tonight. As the fire department battled the blaze, the sheriff pulled me aside. "We're investigating this as arson," he said. I followed his gaze toward Karen, who was now chatting with another neighbor, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Any suspects?" I asked. "Too early to tell," he replied, but his eyes said otherwise. By morning, the house was nothing but charred remains. Insurance investigators confirmed what I already suspected: accelerants had been used. Whoever did this wanted my home gone. 2 days later, the sheriff knocked on my temporary rental's door. "We've got security footage from a neighbor's camera," he said, handing me a tablet. I hit play. The footage showed Karen's SUV pulling up in front of my house late at night. She got out, glancing around nervously, then carried something from her trunk toward my porch. Minutes later, flames erupted. I felt a strange mix of rage and grim satisfaction. She'd crossed the line from petty HOA politics into a felony, and she was about to face the one judge who wouldn't let her talk her way out of it. I leaned back, imagining her face when she saw me behind the bench. The thought alone was almost enough to ease the ache of losing everything I'd owned, almost. "This is enough to arrest her," the sheriff said. "Do it," I replied, my voice calm but ice-cold, as the handcuffs clicked around her wrists later that evening. I stood on the sidewalk and met her glare with a steady, unblinking stare. This wasn't just justice, it was personal. The courthouse was unusually quiet that morning. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, cutting across the polished oak floors. The air felt heavy, like the entire room was holding its breath. Karen sat at the defense table, her pastel pink cardigan replaced by a stiff gray blazer. She still wore that familiar expression, part indignation, part disbelief, as if she couldn't fathom that her actions had real consequences. The prosecution laid out the case methodically. The security footage, the accelerant traces, witness statements, it was all there. Karen's attorney tried to paint it as circumstantial, claiming she'd been dropping off documents late at night. But the jury wasn't buying it. When it was my turn to speak, I rose from the bench, my black robe flowing behind me. Judicial protocol would normally have me recuse myself, but this was a special assignment from the Chief Justice himself, given the high-profile nature and the fact that Karen had made every effort to manipulate the system. "Ms. Whitmore," I began, my voice steady, "this court is not unfamiliar with disputes between neighbors, but what you did goes far beyond a petty feud. You destroyed a home. You endangered lives, and you did it over nothing more than your bruised ego." Karen's eyes darted around the room, searching for sympathy. She found none. I continued. "The HOA is meant to foster community, not weaponize rules against individuals. You abused your authority, and when the law didn't bend to your will, you took justice into your own hands in the most destructive way possible." The silence in the room was absolute. Even the sound of the ceiling fan seemed to fade away. "Given the severity of your crime," I said, "and the overwhelming evidence against you, I sentence you to 15 years in state prison without the possibility of parole for the first 10. Karen's jaw dropped. "This is absurd!" she shouted, rising to her feet. "You can't—" "Bailiff," I said simply. 2 officers moved in, guiding her out of the courtroom as she protested. Her voice grew fainter with each step toward the door until the heavy wood closed behind her, sealing the moment. I removed my robe, feeling the weight of the past weeks lift slightly from my shoulders. Justice didn't rebuild my home, but it gave me something just as valuable. Closure. Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered around, microphones thrust forward. "Judge Thompson, do you feel the sentence was fair?" one asked. I paused, looking at the crowd. "The law is fair," I said. "Sometimes it just needs to be reminded who's in charge." As I walked toward my car, the sun was warmer than it had been in weeks. For the first time since the fire, it felt like a new beginning. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more unbelievable HOA dramas like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next case. Give this video a like if you think justice was served, and drop a comment below telling me what you would have done if you were in my shoes.